श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम्। ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्। नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे पुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णा प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयप्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः। सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्सः सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत्। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। भीष्मद्रोणतटा जयद्रथजला गान्धारनीलोत्पला शल्यग्राहवती कृपेण वहनी कर्णेन वेलाकुला। अश्वत्थामविकर्णघोरमकरा दुर्योधनावर्तिनी सोत्तीर्णा खलु पाण्डवैरणनदी कैवर्तकः केशवः। पाराशर्यवचः सरोजममलं गीतार्थगन्धोत्कटं नानाख्यानककेसरं हरिकथा सम्बोधनाबोधितं। लोके सज्जनषट्पदैरहरः पेपीयमानं मुदा भूयाद्भारतपङ्कजं कलिमलप्रध्वंसिन श्रेयसे। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैर्गायन्ति यं सामगाः। ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यस्यान्तं न विदुस्तुरासुरगणा। देवाय तस्मै नमः, देवाय तस्मै नमः, देवाय तस्मै नमः। Today we will be chanting the 14th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Param bhuyah pravakshami jnananam jnanamuttamam yajñātvā munayah sarve param siddhimito gataha idam jnānamupāśritya mama sādharmyamāgataha sargepi nopajāyante pralayena vyatanti ca mama yonirmahad brahma tasmin garbham dadāmyaham sambhavas sarvabhūtānām tato bhavati bharata sarvayonishu kaunteya mūrtayas sambhavanti yāh tāsām brahma mahadyoni aham bija pradah pitā sattvam rajastama iti gunas prakriti sambhavāh nibhadnanti mahābāho dehe dehinamavyayam tatra sattvam nirmalatvāt prakāshakamanāmayam sukasangena padnāti jnānasangena chānaga rajoragatmakam viddhi trishnasangasamudbhavam tannibadnāti kaunteya karmasangena dehinam tamastvajnānajam viddhi mohanam sarvadehinam pramādalasya nidrabhi tannibadnāti bharata sattvam sukhe sanjayati rajah karmani bharata jnānamāvritya tu tamaha pramāde sanjayatyuta rajastamascābhibhūya sattvam bhavati bharata rajasattvam tamaschaiva tamasattvam rajastatā sarvadvāreshu dehesmin prakāša upajāyate jnānam yatā tadā vidyāt विवृद्धं सत्त्वमित्युत लोभः प्रवृत्तिरारम्भः कर्मणामशमस्पृहा रजस्येतानि जायन्ते विवृद्धे भरतर्षभ अप्रकाशो प्रवृत्तिश्च प्रमादो मोह एव च तमस्येतानि जायन्ते विवृद्धे कुरु नन्दन यदा सत्त्वे प्रवृद्धे तु प्रलयं याति देहभृत् तदोत्तमविदां लोकान् अमलान् प्रतिपद्यते रजसि प्रलयं गत्वा कर्मसङ्गिषु जायते तथा प्रलीनस्तमसि मूढयोनिषु जायते कर्मणः सुकृतस्याहुः सात्विकं निर्मलं फलं रजसस्तु फलं दुःखम् अज्ञानं तमसः फलं सत्त्वात् सञ्जायते ज्ञानं रजसो लोभ एव च प्रमादमोहौ तमसो भवतो ज्ञानमेव च ऊर्ध्वं गच्छन्ति सत्त्वस्था मध्ये तिष्ठन्ति राजसाः जघन्यगुणवृत्तिस्था अधो गच्छन्ति तामसाः नान्यं गुणेभ्यः कर्तारं यदा द्रष्टानुपश्यति गुणेभ्यश्च परं वेत्ति मद्भावं सोऽधिगच्छति गुणानेतानतीत्यत्रीन् देही देहसमुद्भवान् जन्म मृत्युजरा दुःखैर्विमुक्तोऽमृतमश्नुते अर्जुन उवाच कैर्लिङ्गैस्त्रीन् गुणान् एतान् अतीतो भवति प्रभो किमाचारः कथं चैतान् त्रीन् गुणान् अतिवर्तते श्रीभगवानुवाच प्रकाशं च प्रवृत्तिं च मोहमेव च पाण्डव न द्वेष्टि सम्प्रवृत्तानि न निवृत्तानि काङ्क्षति उदासीनवदासीनो गुणैर्यो न विचाल्यते गुणा वर्तन्त इत्येव योऽवतिष्ठति नेङ्गते समदुःखः समलोष्टाश्मकाञ्चनः तुल्यप्रिया प्रियो धीरः तुल्यनिन्दात्मसंस्तुतिः मानापमानयोस्तुल्यो मित्रारिपक्षयोः सर्वारम्भपरित्यागी गुणातीतः स उच्यते मां च यो व्यभिचारेण भक्तियोगेन सेवते स गुणान् समतीत्यैतान् ब्रह्मभूयाय कल्पते ब्रह्मणो हि प्रतिष्ठाहम् अमृतस्याव्ययस्य च शाश्वतस्य च धर्मस्य सुखस्यैकान्तिकस्य च ॐ तत्सदिति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे गुणत्रयविभागयोगो नाम चतुर्दशोऽध्यायः. We chanted from the 14th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. It is known as the Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga. This chapter deals with the description of the nature and the functions of the three gunas. What are gunas? Gunas are the characteristic traits of which is inherent in every being, not only in humans but in all other beings as well. And depending upon the supremacy of one or the other characteristic, one either becomes happy or becomes miserable. Therefore, it is important for us to understand the nature of these three gunas or these three characteristic traits. That's why Sri Krishna is talking about it, and he says here how a knowledge of the gunas and their functions is praised here as leading to liberation may look a bit puzzling at first, but its relevancy can be easily perceived on an analogy of a patient undergoing treatment. It is important for him to know what are contraindicated in the matter of diet and habits of life while the treatment is going on. For an intelligent patient, it is also advantageous to know something about the nature of his disease. In the same way, an aspirant, spiritual aspirant, must understand what bondage consists in and what he has to guard against in the pursuit of the spiritual ideal. Hence, the importance of this and the succeeding chapters, in which all aspects of the doctrine of Prakriti and its three gunas are treated. Prakriti, or Pradhana according to the Sankhya philosophy, is the main subject or main body in which these three gunas exist. If we take it in a mythological sense, there is Brahman and there is Prakriti or Shakti. Brahman is not doing anything. He is very neutral to everything. Just existence. Just existence. Like we have the concept of Shiva. Shiva is existing. In fact, Shiva becomes Shava. Shava means the corpse. If you see under the Divine Mother Kali, he is lying as a corpse, just like a corpse. That is to say, he does not involve in anything at all. Whereas the Divine Mother, she starts creating, preserving and destroying. So, Prakriti is the one that creates, preserves and destroys. And what is the tool that she uses to create, preserve and destroy? It is the Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. And out of the Sattva, Rajas and Tamas comes out all the elements, Panchabhutas, and from the Panchabhutas again all the organs of perception and of action, etc. comes through that. So, in this chapter which we are studying, we studied up to the 8th verse. Sattvam sukhe sanjayati rajaha karmani bharata jnanam avrityatu tamaha pramade sanjayatyuta. What does sattva do? It involves a person in a mood of joy and happiness. Sattvam sukhe sanjayati. And what does rajas do? Rajas involves a person in activity, intense activity. And pramade, tamaha pramade sanjayati. While tamas, which wells upon, which covers knowledge, wheels up knowledge, fills one with negligence and laziness. Pramada. This is a very particular word in Sanskrit. Pramada. From that comes also mada. Mada means, intoxication. Mada. What happens when you become intoxicated? You lose the sense of propriety. It covers your knowledge. It covers your understanding. So pramada is, in our day-to-day life, when we commit mistakes, inadvertently or advertently, yet it is pramada. So if one is very careful, awareness is the key to our existence itself. If we are aware, be aware all the time. Sri Ramakrishna used to tell to his young spiritual sadhaka seekers, he used to say, Sadhu Shabdhan, Shabdhan, Shabdhan. He used to say, Shabdhan in Bengali means be careful, be careful, be careful. And last time I also narrated the story of Samartha Ramdas. Remember that story? Samartha Ramdas, when he was being married at the age of about 16 or so, the priest raised his hand and told everybody is talking in the marriage hall. So he will raise his hands and say, Savadhan, 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 become aware, be aware, be aware. Immediately the knowledge in him welled up, or the Viveka Buddhi, the discriminating capacity in him, it welled up. And he said, I still have a little time, let me be free. Savadhan, I must become aware, aware, aware. So then and there he dropped everything. He was about to tie the Mangal Sutra Thali. So he just took off from the marriage hall and went away in search of a guru and later he became the guru of Shivaji Maharaj, Emperor Shivaji. So that is to say, savadhan, become awareness. So pramada is not being aware. So that is why this importance is given to pramada in our scriptures. It means one must avoid pramada as much as possible. We always say, I forgot. Yeah, why do I forget? Because I have not put my whole thought in it. I have not put my whole heart in it. Otherwise I will not forget, And
is wandering elsewhere and we are absent-minded.
Exactly, absent-mindedly. And especially in today's day, when we multitask, it is even worse now. Sattvam sukhe sanjayati, and then sukhe sanjayati. Well, even sattva is also sometimes deceitful. It binds us to happiness, so to say. Suppose I am listening to a very melodious music, and I am completely lost in it, and I am just savoring the taste of the music through my ears and mind. And suddenly, if something untoward happens, then we are lost completely. We fall down totally. But if I am careful about what I am enjoying, and that I am aware of that something else can also happen, then we will not be caught unawares. That is the idea. So sattvam sukhe sanjayati, rasasvadana is also sometimes not great. Awareness is very important. Then he talks about rajas. Rajas tamas chabhibhuya sattvam bhavati bharata. Rajas sattvam tamas chaiva tamas sattvam rajas tatha. Overpowering rajas and tamas, sattva prevails. Sometimes you become very sattvic, sometimes you become very rajasic, sometimes you will become very tamasic. So this is the nature of our day-to-day life. Sometimes I am greatly happy, sometimes I am very morose, sometimes I am active, so I forget that happiness also, and I also forget the depression. So that's how it is. So at any given point of time in our life, we have one characteristics or one guna prominent. We must be aware of this. So, and overall, in a personality, we are either sattva prominent, rajas prominent, or tamas prominent. Overall, in our personality, some people are very sattvic, some people are rajasic, and some people are tamasic. But that doesn't mean that one cannot raise oneself. So that's why we have to conquer tamas by the help of rajas. If you are very lazy and all that, you need to keep going, go for a walk, and then do some seva somewhere. So that will give you a little bit of rajas, and then you can come and sit and be yourself. That's why all these three are important in our life. But the more and more we develop sattva, then it doesn't mean that you cannot be rajasic or tamasic. You will have rajas and tamas as well, but you will become more sattvic. The joy that wells within you becomes more and more and more. See, that is what it is. Because we beings, I have mentioned this many times in the past few weeks, we beings are the products of what? Sat, Chit and Anand. Sat is existence. I want to live. I want to exist. Therefore, I make all my efforts to exist. I want to keep myself healthy. I want to keep myself aware of things also, Chit, Chetana, aware of everything, knowledge. And I also want to enjoy Ananda. Ananda, it is inherent in every being. Sat, Chit and Ananda is inherent in every being. So what do we want to do? What we need to do is to try and uh, develop this sattva aspect or sat aspect more and more in our life. I want to exist in what manner? As the divine. I want to exist as the divine, not just as a human being, because as a human being I am subject to life and death, birth and death, so to say. But as the Atman, I am ever existent. As the divine, I am ever existent. Therefore, that Sat aspect has to be even more important. That's why we pray, we sit and pray, we meditate, etc. So ultimately, the goal is somehow to go and become one with the Sat itself. That is the idea. Now, Sri Krishna is describing the characteristics of the Sattvic, Rajasic and Tamas once again. Sarvadvareshu dehesmin prakasha upajayate jnanam yada tada vidyat vivruddham sattvamityuta. When through all the senses, which are the portals of the body, knowledge, happiness and similar characteristics manifest, then indeed it should be understood that sattva is dominant. See? Yada sarvadvareshu dehesmin prakashaha upajayate jnanam yada tada vidyat vivruddham sattvamityuta. The senses, all the five senses that we have, are like windows. They are like windows. And we can see the universe through these windows. We are experiencing the universe through these five windows. Now, if these windows are frosted, if these windows have become blackened, what will happen? I will not be able to see the light. So these windows, if we have to see light, then all the indriyas must be kept clean, it must be kept healthy, and it must be it must enable us to see the light that is the divine, the light of the divine. Sarvadvareshu dehe asmin dehe prakashaha upajayate. The indriyas are those which illumine or which show the prakasha, the light of the divine, prakashaha. Yada jnanam jayate tada vidyat, yada jnanam vidyat tadat vivruddham sattvam ityuta. So, when through all the senses which are the portals of body, knowledge, happiness and similar characteristics manifest, then indeed it should be understood that sattva is dominant. See, it is not just that when you sit for bhajans or sit for meditation, you become very happy and you think you have become sattvic. No. In our day-to-day life, every action that we do, every thought that we think, is it being reflected? This sattva is being reflected? That is the question that we need to ask ourselves. There are many people who look very pious, extremely pious, but within their mind especially, there is a lot of knots, there is a lot of doubts, etc. So that should not be there. A sattvic person is very, very simple. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, a sattvic person is guileless. There is no guile in him. There is no covering in him. What he is, that's it. There is nothing that he will cover. It should be very simple. Just like a child who does not have any guile, in the same way, a sattvic person must be very guileless. So, he, in the life of Sri Ramakrishna, I think I must have told you, Sri Ramakrishna had become like a child. And so he used to live at the house of the owner of the temple, Mathuranath Mishra's sometimes he used to go and stay there. So one day, Mathuranath Vishwas wanted to go somewhere to the city, Kolkata. So his Mathuranath's wife, she sensed something. So she told him, you take Baba also along with him. Baba means Sri Ramakrishna. That's how they used to address him. You take him also along with you. So reluctantly Mathuranath took him. And so they went to a particular place, and they had a very fashionable carriage in those days. So Mathuranath Vishwas told Sri Ramakrishna, Baba, stay here in the carriage. I have to go up the stairs of this building. I will go and I will come back. Just wait here. And don't tell about it to anybody. So, so he went, and then after some time he came back, and so both of them, they returned. So after, when they returned, the wife of Mathuranath Vishwas asked him, where did you go? Oh, he said, no, I went to a friend's place, I had a meeting with a friend, that's why I went to a place. Then she asked she asked Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna said, well, he stopped the carriage and asked me to stay in a place, and then he went somewhere and spent quite some time, and then he came back. So Mathuranath Vishwas was very flabbergasted. He said, I told you not to talk about it, and here you are saying this. That is to say, he did not have any guile. So what he saw and what he spoke was the same. In Bengali there is a saying, Mon mukh ak karo. Mon mukh ak karo. That means, may your thoughts and your words be in synchronization. But generally, we are totally different. What we are thinking inside and what we are saying is totally different sometimes. Not all the times, but sometimes. Man mukh ak karna. But only when there is this transparency, as I said, only when there is this transparency would we be able to enjoy that sattva nature. And then, lobha pravrittirarambha karmanamasamaspriha rajasyetani jayante vivruddhe bharatarshava. See, he is giving a list of the Rajasic person's traits. What are those? Lobha. What is lobha? Greed. Avarice or greed. Lobha. Pravritti. Pravritti means ceaseless planning and execution of work. Keep on doing work. Come for self, not talking about unselfish work, but trying to do everything for one's own gain and not for anybody's sake. All the time involved in work, constantly involving work, more and more and more acquisition of possessions, properties, etc. Yeah, you need something, there is no doubt about that. But all the time being worried about money, worried about possessions, that is the characteristic of a Rajasic person. Lobha, because he is guided, his whole engine is boosted by avarice. Is boosted by avarice or this desire, lobha, pravrittihi, karmanam arambaha, that means always planning and executing works. Ashamaha, shama means control of the mind. Ashamaha means restless, totally restless. If that person does not have any other work, he will become totally restless. This is something which we are all very much aware of. We ourselves are all like that probably. So it is restlessness. And then Spriha. Spriha means desire for enjoyment. more and more and more of enjoyment. There is no let or hindrance from this enjoyment. Etani jayante. These arise when rajas prevails. And now he talks about the tamas. Aprakasho pravrittischa pramado moha yevacha tamasyetani jayante vivriddhe kurunandana. Kurunandana, O joy of the Kurus, he says, tamasi vivriddhe, when tamas dominates, aprakashaha apravrittihi pramadaha jayante. What does he say? Aprakashaha, lack of intelligence. Lack of intelligence. There is no depth in anything that you say or anything that you do. There is total lack of intelligence. See, God has given us this wonderful intelligence. We must make use of it in the proper manner. So, apravrittihi, lack of effort. You take something and then immediately, as soon as some trials and tribulations arise, they will just drop it and then go away. Like in the Viveka Chudamani, Shankaracharya says, like a person trying to dig for a well, and as soon as he goes a few feet and doesn't get water, he will go and dig another well. So there will be only small holes everywhere. That's all. He will never get any water. So aprakashaha pravrittischa tamasyetani jayante. Pramadaha, again I have said that earlier. Pramada is forgetfulness. Not only forgetfulness, but don't care attitude. See, many people are there, they forget because they don't care about it. If I really care about something, I will definitely not forget it. Because I don't have this attitude of not caring, therefore it is called as pramada. It's negligence, sheer negligence and delusion. Delusion, thinking that I have achieved something great. Even though you have not achieved anything, thinking, but just imagining that I have achieved something great. That is called as delusion. Yada sattve pravriddhetu pralayam yati deha bhrit tadottama vidam lokan amalan pratipadyate. If one dies when sattva is prevailing predominantly, then one attains to the pure regions of the knowers of the highest. So, in those days, in Sri Krishna's times, even now also it is there, people were largely concerned about the afterlife. What will happen to me after this body is gone? So they were always thinking of joy in other lokas or in other spheres, because people were mainly karmakandins. They used to perform lots of rituals and rites, etc., so that one can go to the other side and enjoy everything. So Sri Krishna is talking about such people also. Sattve, yada sattve, if one dies when sattva is prevailing. Elsewhere Sri Krishna says that when a person of sattva dies, it doesn't mean that he will go to another sphere and enjoy things there. Even coming back to this world after death, he or she will be born in a place where there is predominance of sattva, so that one can develop those sattvic qualities more and more, and later one will become free from all kinds of desires and wants. So yada sattve pravruddhetu, when one dies when sattva is prevailing predominantly, then what one attains to the pure regions. Loka here can be taken as this bhuloka itself. In this life, in this earthly life itself, one may be born in a very pious family. It says one may be born in a pious family. Rajasi pralayam gatva karma sangishu jayate tatha pralinas tamasi mudhayonishu jayate. Those who die when rajas dominates are born among those attached to action. And likewise, those dying in tamas are born in the wombs of creatures without reason. That is to say, one can, according to the Bhagavad Gita, one can degrade and go into the other yonis, into other lives, that is, animal lives, etc., etc. That is how Sri Krishna interprets it. Karmana sukritasyahu satvikam nirmalam phalam rajasastu phalam dukkham ajnanam tamasah phalam. Virtuous actions promote spirituality and purity, that is sattva, while the rajas-dominated ones result in pain, and the tamas-dominated ones in ignorance. This is very clear from the previous verses. Sattvat sanjayate jnanam rajaso lobhaye cha pramada mohau tamaso bhavato ajnaname cha. From sattva arises knowledge. One becomes brilliant, one becomes full of the shine of knowledge. Sattva arises knowledge. And from rajas, it comes avarice, negligence, delusion, and also ignorance. Avarice. Negligence, delusion, and also ignorance are the products of tamas. We don't have to interpret it any further. Urdhvam gachanti sattvastha madhye tishtanti rajasaha jaghanya gunavrittistha adho gachanti tamasaha. Those established in sattva evolve to higher goals, while those abiding in rajas remain in the mid-course. That is to say, they will have to come back again and again and again. That is the idea. Steeped in evil tendencies, the tamas-dominated ones degenerate. See, Sri Krishna is mentioning all of these so that we become aware and that we strive more to become sattvic and then again rise beyond sattva, which is the ultimate goal of human life. Rise beyond that and become one with Brahman or become divine yourself. Na anyam gunebhyah kartaram yada drashtanupashyati gunebhyascha param vetti madbhavam sodhigacchati. When the jiva, that means the person, recognizes the gunas alone as the agent in all actions and himself as transcending the gunas, then he attains my state. This is a very important sloka that Sri Krishna is mentioning, that one must recognize. Suppose I become very angry. I must recognize why I am becoming angry. That questioning myself, introspection, is very, very important. Before I blurt out saying something and create a scene over there, can I just hold back myself? A sattvic person is one who has total control over his thoughts, over his words, and over his actions as well. So he says one must be aware, recognize with the gunas. And then when something happens, for example, when I become angry, I smash something, just for example, I smash something. Then I start crying over it and say, what did I do, what did I do, what did I do? So that is a reminder to me to say that I need to be very careful later. But brooding over that loss and brooding over my incapacities also is bad. That's what Sri Krishna is saying here. Do not brood over it. Elsewhere we have seen in the last chapter, Sri Krishna says that do not ever, he says, raise the self by yourself. Raise the lower self by thinking of the higher self. See, I get angry, or I get very very desirous of certain things and all that. So what should I do in those circumstances? I know that they are bad for me. What should I do in those circumstances? Then I must think of myself as a child of the divine. I should say, I am a child of the divine. For example, when you do some action, you know that you are born into such a wonderful family, and that if you do such action, you will be bringing ill fame to your family, isn't it? So, in the same way, in our day-to-day life, we must also be aware that what I do will have snowballing consequences. It will keep on rolling and rolling and rolling, and it will become dangerous to myself as well as to the others. Therefore, recognizing these gunas as being extraneous to me. I am not the gunas. I have acquired the gunas. I means the self, the Atman. I have just acquired those gunas, and then I am behaving that way. So I should make that all-out effort to make sure that I have some hold upon it. I conquer it by the help of the higher understanding. Thinking of myself as a child of the divine, thinking of myself as nothing but a pure being. A pure being, I will be able to reduce the effects of the gunas within myself. That is what Sri Krishna is trying to say here. Na anyam gunebhyah kartara. When I recognize the gunas as the agent of all actions, and then transcending the gunas, then he attains to my state. Gunan etan atityatrin dehi deha samudbhavan janma mrityu jara dukkhair vimukto amrutamashnute. The embodied spirit, the jiva, having transcended the gunas from which the body has sprung, gains deliverance from the miseries of birth, death and old age, and attains to immortality. The embodied. So jiva, the individual soul or the embodied soul, when it recognizes that it is the divine, then it will transcend all the gunas, and also which will transcend all the lives. Therefore, mukti or moksha or God realization or spiritual enlightenment is available to each and every being. It is not the personal property or exclusive property of some individual souls, it may be, or saints or sages and all that. No. Yes, they have also been ordinary human beings, and they have risen to that state. For that reason, one should not think that we ordinary human beings, we cannot be like them. Yes, there is always, that's why I always quote that saying, a saint always had a past, and a sinner has always a future. A sinner always has a future. If a Valmiki, if a Ratnakara can become Valmiki, see, why can't we beings can rise to that state? Yes, but for that, this is sadhana, being aware of myself. This concept of I am a child of the divine, I am a part and parcel of the divine is very, very significant in our lives. We must always reinforce this idea. Not just thinking of myself as a person with a body and a name and some qualities, but as a person who is beyond all of this. This is a very important point to note over. Atitya, gunan etan atitya, trin dehi. Trin means these three Dehi deha samudbhavan janma mrityu jara dukkhaihi vimuktaha amritam ashnate. So there is hope, there is always the goal to be attained for everyone, for everyone. Never for even a moment think that you are weak, says Swami Vivekananda. Because you are the Atman, you are the immortal self. Stand upon the self, Swami Vivekananda says, stand upon the self, the idea that I am Atman, I am Brahman. So this must be cultivated day in and day out by every one of us. Spending a little time, I am never tired of saying this to people, spend a little time for your own self. We spend a lot of time for children, family and the world outside. If we have to spend a little time for our own selves, morning and evening and in the afternoon if possible, whatever it is, spend a little time with your own self. Think of the divine that is within you and expand that feeling outside as well. It will get expanded by itself. Once I am able to have that feeling within myself, once I am able to have that understanding within myself, then it will become universal to me. So that is where we will stop. And in the next verse, Arjuna asks the question, what are the marks of one who has transcended these three gunas, and how does he behave, and how does he rise above them? All these questions he will be asking. That we will take up. Not next week. Next week we have got the Sri Krishna Janmashtami celebrations here from 10:30 to 12. But the following week, we will, on the 1st of September, we don't have many verses. We will be completing this chapter on the 1st of September. Om Shantakaram Bhujagashayanam Padmanabham Suresham Vishwadharam Gaganasadrisham Meghavarnam Shubhangam Lakshmikantam Kamalanayanam Yogiridhyanagamyam Vande Vishnum Bhavavayaharam Sarvalokaikanaatham. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Shri Ram Krishna.